When we think of World War II in the Pacific, one image often comes to mind. The Kamikaze, a lone Japanese pilot, flying a plane packed with explosives on a one-way mission to crash into an American warship. It's a terrifying, almost unbelievable tactic. But how did it come to be? Was it desperation, fanaticism, or something else entirely? Today, we're diving deep into the story of the Kamikaze and other Japanese tactics used against overwhelming American firepower. By late 1944, the war in the Pacific had turned decisively against Japan. The industrial might of the United States was in full swing, producing ships, planes, and weapons at a rate Japan simply couldn't match. American naval fleets, protected by swarms of advanced fighter planes like the F-6, F-Hellcat, and a curtain of anti-aircraft fire, were systematically island hopping closer and closer to the Japanese mainland. For every Japanese plane shot down, the US seemed to have 10 more ready to go. The technological and numerical gap was staggering. Japanese military leaders were faced with a grim reality. Conventional tactics were failing. Their experienced pilots, the heroes of Pearl Harbor and the early war, were mostly gone. They were replaced by young, hastily trained recruits flying increasingly outdated aircraft. How could they possibly stop the American juggernaut? The answer they came up with was radical and born of desperation. If one plane could unsink a ship with bombs or torpedoes, maybe it could, by becoming the bomb itself. This was the birth of the Tokubetsuko Jitai, or Special Attack Units, known to the world as the Kamikaze, meaning divine wind. This name harkened back to a 13th century legend where it had miraculously destroyed a Mongol invasion fleet, saving Japan. The hope was that these pilots could create a new divine wind to save the nation once again. The first official kamikaze attacks took place during the Battle of Leyte Gulf in October 19, and their impact was immediate and shocking. The escort carrier USS St. Lo was sunk, and several other ships were heavily damaged. To the American sailors, these attacks were horrifying. Imagine being on the deck of a ship, seeing a plane dive directly at you, ignoring the hail of bullets from every gun on board. It was a form of psychological warfare as much as it was a military tactic. It seemed to defy all logic of self-preservation, but from the Japanese perspective, it was framed as the ultimate act of courage and sacrifice. These pilots were not simply suicidal. They saw themselves as warriors, making a calculated, final contribution to defending their homeland and their emperor. They believed their sacrifice, their gyokusai, or shattering of the jewel, was the purest expression of the Bushido Code. Before their final missions, pilots would participate in ceremonies, write farewell letters to their families, and receive a ceremonial sip of sake. These letters reveal a complex mix of emotions: profound patriotism, love for their families, and a stoic acceptance of their fate. They were often very young, some just teenagers, caught in the brutal machinery of war. They weren't mindless fanatics. They were young men convinced that their individual death could have a strategic impact and was the most honorable path available. But the kamikaze wasn't the only desperate tactic. On the ground, Japanese soldiers were famous for their banzai charges. When a position was about to be overrun, rather than surrendering, entire units would fix bayonets and charge headlong into enemy lines. To the Americans, this seemed like a senseless waste of life. But for the Japanese soldiers, surrender was the ultimate dishonor. The banzai charge was a final, all-out attack, a way to die fighting rather than be captured. It was an attempt to inflict maximum casualties and uphold their honor, even in the face of certain defeat. Then, there were the naval tactics. Japan developed human-guided torpedoes called kaiten. A single volunteer would pilot the torpedo, steering it directly into the hull of an enemy ship. Essentially, it was an underwater kamikaze. Similarly, they created Shinyo motorboats, small, fast boats packed with explosives, designed to ram into larger vessels. Each of these weapons relied on a single individual, sacrificing their life to guide the weapon to its target. The goal was to trade one life for a high-value asset, like an aircraft carrier or a battleship. So, were these tactics effective? The answer is complicated. Statistically, the success rate was low. Of the thousands of kamikaze sorties flown, only a small percentage actually hit their targets. The vast majority was shot down by American fighters, or the dense anti-aircraft fire from the fleet. Kitan and Shinyo had even lower success rates, due to mechanical failures. and defensive measures. However, when they did get through, the damage was immense, both physically and psychologically. Kamikaze attacks sank or damaged hundreds of Allied ships and caused thousands of casualties. They forced the US Navy to change its tactics, pushing its fighter patrols further out and increasing the number of picket ships to intercept attackers. The fear and unpredictability of these attacks took a heavy toll on the morale of American sailors, who lived under constant threat. But strategically, these tactics could not change the ultimate outcome of the war. They couldn't stop the B-29 bombing raids, they couldn't prevent the invasion of Okinawa, and they couldn't overcome America's overwhelming industrial superiority. They were a testament to the courage and sacrifice of the individual Japanese servicemen, but they were born from a strategy of desperation that was ultimately unsustainable. Looking back, the story of the Kamikaze and other special attack units is a powerful and tragic reminder of the extremes of war. It shows how a nation, pushed to the brink, can rationalize tactics that seem incomprehensible to its enemies. It's a story not just of military strategy, but of culture, honor, and the immense human cost of conflict. It forces us to look beyond the simple label of fanaticism and see the complex human beings who were asked to make the ultimate sacrifice for their country. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this exploration of history interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let us know in the comments what other historical topics you'd like us to cover. See you next time.